Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Jnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Mandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu vayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine
Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamam vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya.
So we were in chapter 10 of Madhya Lila, the Lord's return to Jagannātha Purī. So in the last chapter, we just started this, last session we just started with this chapter, and we saw initial around 22 verses as Lord had just returned to Jagannātha Purī. So let's see what is happening in Puri. Devotees meet the Lord at Kashi Mishra's house. Verse number 24 to 48. Hey Mata Purushottam Vasiyat Jana Prabhu ke milite savar utkantita mana. Thus, all the residents of Jagannātha Puri, which is also known as Purushottam, became anxious to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu again. So the news had spread now that Chaitanya Mahāprabhu has arrived back in Puri, and we saw in the last section that how the king was also very anxious to meet, and how the king had arranged the residence for Chaitanya Mahāprabhu at Kashi Mishra's house. So Chaitanya Mahāprabhu is now in Kashi Mishra's house, and the news has spread, and all the devotees are eager to see the Lord.
Sarvalokirutkantaya ve atyanta badila Mahaprabhu dakshina haite tabahi aila. When all the residents of Jagannath Puri became extremely anxious to meet the Lord again, he returned from South India. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had gone on Tirth Yatra, and the devotees in Jagannath Puri, they were so anxious, and perceiving their anxiety to again have darshan of the Lord decided to return back to Jagannātha Puri. Shuni anandita haila sabakara mana Save asi sarva bhauma kaila nivedana.
Hearing of the Lord's return, everyone became happy, very happy, and they all went to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and spoke to him as follows. So they all, like we saw in the last class, the king approached Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So actually everyone know that how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is the recipient of special mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he is so dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they approached him so that he can introduce them to the Supreme Lord. Prabhura Sahita Ama Sabakara Milana Tomara Prasade Pai Prabhura Charana.
Please arrange our meeting with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is only by your mercy that we can attain the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So here all the devotees, they were very eager to have darshan of the Lord, and they wanted themselves to be introduced to the Lord, and they are requesting Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that if you are merciful to us, then we can actually be connected with the Lord, and so you please, we can take shelter of the Lord, and so we request you to please introduce us to him, arrange our meeting with him. Bhattacharya kahe kali Kashi Mishra ghare Prabhu yai bena taha milab sabare.
The Bhattacharya replied to the people, "Tomorrow the Lord will be at the house of Kashi Mishra. I shall arrange for you all to meet him." So on behalf of Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has given appointment to all of them that he will introduce them the next day.
हर दिन महाप्रभु भट्टाचार्य संगे जगन्नाथ दर्शन कैला महारंगे. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived and went with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya with great enthusiasm to see the temple of Lord Jagannāth. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had reached Alarnath, and from there the devotees went to meet him, and then he arrived in Jagannath Puri. And what did he do first? He went to the temple of Lord Jagannath, whom he had been missing. Mahaprasadiya taha milil sevagana Mahaprabhu sabakare kaila lingana.
Can we imagine this embrace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and how ecstatic this would be? And it says that Mahaprabhu sabakare kaila alingana. So all the servants of Lord Jagannath delivered remnants of the Lord's food to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In return, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced them all.
Darshan kari Mahaprabhu chalila bahire Bhattacharya anirdhanre Kashi Mishra ghare. After seeing Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the temple. The Bhattacharya then took him to the house of Kashi Mishra. So, if you remember in the previous session, we discussed that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was meeting the king of Puri, and he had asked that we want a place for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to stay, which is close to the temple and is also secluded. And the king had actually suggested, King Prataprudra had actually suggested Kashi Mishra's home. So this is where he is taking Lord Chaitanya. Kashi Mishra asi padhe Prabhu racharane Griha sahit atma tanre kaila nivedane.
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at his house, Kashi Mishra immediately fell down at his lotus feet and surrendered himself and all his possessions. So this is one quality which we would see all the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this complete surrender and this humility. So Kashi Mishra has taken such a humble position, and he's falling at Lord's lotus feet, and he's surrendering himself and all his possessions to be engaged in the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Prabhu Chaturbhuja Murti Tare Dekhaila Atmasat Kari Tare Alingana Kaila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then showed Kashi Mishra his four-armed form. Then accepting him for his service, the Lord embraced him. So, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not keen to be seen as the Supreme Lord. He always told his close devotees also that he's a servant, he's a devotee of the Lord. But here we see that as Kashi Mishra surrendered himself and his whole home and paraphernalia in the service of the Lord was so pleased that he gave him darshan of his Chaturbhuj Murti.
Without asking.
And then Lord picked him up and embraced him.
Tabe Mahaprabhu taha vasila asane Chaudike vasila nityanandadi bhaktgane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next sat down at the place prepared for him, and all the devotees headed by Lord Nityananda Prabhu surrounded him.
Sukhi haila dekhi Prabhu vasara samsthana Yehi vasaya hai Prabhu sarva samadhana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy to see his residential quarters in which all his necessities were taken care of. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had correctly understood the needs of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The king Prataprudra had allocated the right place. Kashi Mishra had offered all his services, and thus collectively devotees working together cooperatively could please the Lord completely. Sarvabhauma kahe Prabhu yogya tomar vasa Tumi angikara kara Kashi Mishra rasha.
Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, "This place is just befitting you. Please accept it. It is the hope of Kashi Mishra that you do." So he was requesting formally to accept the residence at Kashi Mishra's house.
Prabhu kahe deha toma sabakara Yehi tumi kaha se sammat amara. Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu said, my body belongs to all of you. Therefore, I agree to whatever you say. So this is the sweet and absolute relationship between the devotees and the Lord. The devotees give their lives, give whatever is under their care to the service of the Lord, and the Lord in reciprocation gives himself. So here Lord is saying, Ei deha toma sabakar. So my body, this body belongs to all of you. Therefore, whatever you say, I agree to that. Tabe sarva bhauma prabhu dakshin praveshasi milaite lagila sabha purushottam vasi.
After this, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, sitting at the right hand of the Lord, began to introduce all the inhabitants of Purushottam, Jagannath Puri. So now he was introducing, because many devotees have not met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so far. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is introducing them.
Hey Sabaloka Prabhu, Vaise Nila Chale, Utkanthita Hana Che Sabe, Toma Mili Bare. The Bhattacharya said, my dear Lord, all these people are the residents of Nilachal, Jagannath Puri, have been very anxious to meet you. So the devotees wanted themselves to be to meet the Lord, to be introduced, and here Bhattacharya is also very, very happy and eager to introduce them to the Lord.
Trishta shatak yaiche kare ha-kara,
Taiche saba sabe karangikara.
In your absence, all these people have been exactly like thirsty chatak birds crying in disappointment. Kindly accept them. So here the comparison is made to the chatak bird. So the chatak bird, the special quality of the chatak bird is that the bird accepts the water or drinks the water only when it is raining. So directly from the rainfall that it drinks. Otherwise it keeps looking at the sky and waiting for the rain. So these devotees are compared that how eagerly and anxiously they have been waiting for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just like the chatak bird waits for that rainfall.
Jagannātha sevak hai nama janadana, anavasa kare prabhu riyanga sevana.
Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya first introduced Janardhan, saying, here is Janardhan, servant of Lord Jagannath. He renders service to the Lord when it is time to renovate his transcendental body. So now this particular word, Anavasare, so this is the ceremony which happens after the Snan Yatra. And actually after the Snan Yatra, it is said that the Lord falls sick and there is no darshan. So the Lord is absent from the temple for 15 days. And this is the period when the Lord is renovated. So in the sense that the paint, if it is chipping off or something, so that happens during those 15 days. The Jagannath is repainted. So Janardhan was rendering this very, very important service, which is very dear to Lord Jagannath.
Krishna Das Nama E Suvan Vitradhari Shiki Mahati Nama E Likhanadhikari. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya continued, this is Krishna Das, who carries a golden cane, and here is Shiki Mahiti, who is in charge of writing. Pradyumishra Iha Vaishnava Pradhana Jagannathir Mahasoya Nama.
This is Pradyum Mishra, who's chief of all the Vaishnavas. He's great servitor of Jagannath and his name is Das. So he is introducing one after the other. So this person, Pradyum Mishra, he has introduced and he's telling that he's great servitor of Jagannath.
Murari Mahati Iha Shikhi Mahati Rai Tomar Charana Vino Aragati Nai. This is Murari Mahiti, the brother of Shikhi Mahiti. He has nothing other than your lotus feet. So this is how beautifully they are being introduced. It is not just their any material qualification. Their extreme intense devotion to the Lord is being identified as their introduction, for introducing them. Chandaneshwar Simheshwar Murari Brahmana Vishnudas iha dhyaye tomar charana.
Here are Chandeshwar, Simheshwar, Murari Brahman and Vishnudas. They are all constantly engaged in meditating on your lotus feet. So as Prabhu was saying, that is the quality. Their relationship with the Supreme Lord is of prime importance. So that is how they were being introduced, not by their material opulences, because material opulences and material position is provided by the Supreme Lord. So what is theirs in that way? So that is how they are glorified for their spiritual qualities.
And if you were to be introduced, just in a hypothetical situation, how we would like to be introduced? What devotional qualities,
Probably we can meditate on that.
And probably we can act on them.
Yeah.
Praharaja Mahapatra Iha Mahamati Paramananda Mahapatra Iha Samhati. This is Paramananda Prahara Raja, who is also known as Mahapatra. He is very, very intelligent. So Prahara Raja was a person usually from the royal priest family. So what will happen is, when the king dies and the new king has to be installed on the throne, somebody in the interim period has to be present on the throne. The throne cannot remain empty. So in this time, one appointed person from the royal priest family would actually oversee the functions of the crown or of the king till the time the new king is appointed. So at that time, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there, so this person, Paramananda Mahapatra, was the one who was actually doing this service. Saba Vaishnave Kshetra Bhushana Ekanta Bhave Chinte Save Toma Charana.
All these pure devotees serve as ornaments to Jagannath Puri. They are always undeviatingly meditating upon your lotus feet. So this is a very wonderful quality which was common to all of them, that they were undeviatingly, there was no distraction, they were not getting distracted from their devotion unto the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
And if you remember in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 12, where there's a discussion about who are greater and the qualities of a devotee, in verse 8, Krishna talks about that the best devotee is one who is always thinking of me. And here we see that this is the quality which is being constantly spoken about these devotees, undeviatedly meditating upon your lotus feet, always thinking of your lotus feet. So these are the qualities of these devotees. So they are the devotees of the highest order.
Tabe sabe bhume pade dandavatahana Saba alingila Prabhu prasada kariya. After this introduction, everyone fell to the ground like rods. Being very merciful upon them all, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced each one of them. So each one got the mercy of Alingan or embrace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Moving to the next section, verse number 49 to 61, Bhavananda meets Lord Chaitanya with his sons.
Hena kale aila tatha Bhavananda Raya Chariputra sange pade Mahaprabhu paya. At this time, Bhavananda Rai appeared with his 4 sons, and all of them fell down at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this very amazing, exalted devotee Bhavananda Rai actually had 5 sons, and one of his sons, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, had already met during his South India Tirth Yatra, and that was Ramananda Rai. So Bhavananda Rai is the father of Ramananda Rai, and Ramananda Rai, if you remember, has not yet reached Jagannath Puri. He told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you please proceed, because I will also follow you, but I don't want to come along with you because I'll be traveling with so many soldiers and elephants and it'll be very noisy. You please go ahead in front. I will just follow you in the next few days. So here Bhavananda Rai had come with rest of his 4 sons means Vaninath, Gopinath, Kalanidhi and Sudahanidhi. So these 4 sons had come here along with their father to have darshan of the Lord. Sarvabhauma kahe Raya Bhavananda Ihara Prathama Putra Raya Ramananda.
Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya continued, this is Bhavananda Rai, the father of Sri Ramananda Rai, who is his first son. So because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knows he has already met Ramananda Rai, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was one who actually told to meet Ramananda Rai. So Sarvabhauma was aware of the glories of Ramananda Rai. So that is why the first to introduce Bhavananda Rai, he is talking about Ramananda Rai.
And what proud father he would be to be introduced as father of Ramananda Rai. Tabe Mahaprabhu Tanre Kaila Alingana Stuti Kari Kahe Ramananda Vivarana. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Bhavananda Rai and with great respect spoke of his son Ramananda Rai. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had great attachment, attraction and respect for Ramananda Rai. And we remember that most amazing conversation happened. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asking, Ihe baya ar kahe ar. He was asking, okay, speak further. And that's how through Ramananda Rai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed the highest goal of human life. Ramananda he naratnaya haratanaya tahara mahima loke kahananaya.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu honored Bhavananda Rai by saying, the glories of a person who has a jewel of a son like Ramananda Rai cannot be described within this mortal world. So this is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts describing, or he's telling that how glorious is this person who has a son like Ramananda Rai.
Sakshat Pandu Tomi Tomar Patni Kunti Pancha Pandav Tomar Pancha Putra Mahamati. You are Maharaj Pandu himself and your wife is Kunti Devi herself. All your highly intellectual sons are representatives of the 5 Pandavas. So here we see that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is revealing their eternal identity and the all great devotees of the Lord, the Pandavas.
Raya
kahe ami shudra vishayi adhama tabu tumi sparshayi ishvara lakshana.
After hearing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's praise, Bhavananda Rai submitted, I am in the 4th class of the social order and I engage in mundane affairs. Although I am very fallen, you have still touched me. This is a proof that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So actually this is the quality of somebody who's advanced spiritually. He does not care about person's material condition, like which varna and which ashram the other person belongs to. He does not care about that. What he cares about, the amount of devotion the other person has. So identifying from that angle, and he is saying that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead because you are not making any demarcations.
Nija graha vitta britya panchaputra sane atma samarpilu ami tomar charane. Accepting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's favor, Bhavananda Rai also said, along with my home, riches, servants and 5 sons, I surrender myself at your lotus feet. So earlier we saw how the other devotees were surrendering unto the Lord with their own self and their family and their home. Here Bhavananda Rai is doing the same. He's saying everything, my nija ghara, nija griha, and my wife and my servants and everyone else, they are all at your service. So that's how I surrender myself. Not that I surrender, but my wealth is not surrendered to you. This
Sanvaninath will remain at your lotus feet to always immediately attend to your orders and serve you. So out of his 5 sons, he's leaving one son to be constantly serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being there and carrying out his orders.
आत्मीय ज्ञाने मोरे संकोच न करिबे, ये अबे इच्छा तबे से आज्ञा दीबे. My dear Lord, please consider me your relative. Do not hesitate to order whatever you desire at any time you desire it. So he's saying, Atmiya Jnane. So you consider me as your intimate, close relative. So, and Sankoch na kariba. You do not hesitate at any time. Whenever, whatever you need, at that moment, you please let me know what you want and I will serve you. प्रभु कहे कि संकोच तुम्ही न पारा, जन्मे जन्मे तुम्ही आमार
सवंशे किंकारा. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted Bhavananda Rai's offer, saying, I accept without hesitation because you are not an outsider. Who are you then? Janme janme tumi amar savamshe kinkar. Birth after birth, you have been my servant along with your whole family member. So formality, why will I do any formality? Ki sankoch, I'll not do any sankoch, or there is no hesitation.
दीन पांच सात भीतरे आसीबे रामानंदा, ताम्र संगे पूर्ण हवे अमर आनंदा. Shri Ramananda Rai is coming within 5 to 7 days. As soon as he arrives, my desires will be fulfilled. I take great pleasure in his company. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is again thinking of the first son of Bhavananda Rai, and he's saying that he's coming in 5 to 7 days. And then I will have all my desires fulfilled. Etabali Prabhu Tanre Kaila Alingana, Tandra Putra Sabha Shire Dharila Charana.
Saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Bhavananda Rai. The Lord then touched the heads of his sons with his lotus feet. So the Lord actually accepted the entire family as his very own. And that is how he is allowing, or rather, it's not even allowing, he's going one extra step and he's touching the heads of his sons with his lotus feet.
Tabe Mahaprabhu Tanre Gare Pathaila, Vaninatha Patnayake Nigate Rakhila. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then sent Bhavananda Rai back to his home, and he kept only Vaninath Patnaik in his personal service. So Bhavananda Rai had offered his son Vaninath as Lord's personal servant.
Moving to the next section, 62 to 74, Lord Chaitanya rejects Kala Krishna Das.
Bhattacharya sabha loke vidaya karaila, tabe Prabhu Kala Krishna Das bolaila. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then asked all the people to leave. Afterward, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called for Kala Krishna Das, who had accompanied the Lord during his South India tour. Prabhu kahe Bhattacharya shunai ha charita, dakshina giya chilaiha amara sahita.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, My dear Bhattacharya, just consider the character of this man who went with me to South India. So I'm sure all of us remember what happened to Kala Krishna Das and why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is addressing him like that and talking like this, and why he's about to reject Kala Krishna Das.
Bhattatari kache gela amare chadiya, Bhattatari haite iha ranelu dhariya. I mean, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just saying that just look at his character, and what is it? That he left my company to associate with the Bhattadharis. You know, they were sinful people, and he left my company and he went to them. But I rescued him from their company and brought him here. So actually, Lord, we see that Lord's compassion is there. So he did not just reject him then and there. He rescued from Bhattataris and he brought Kala Krishna Das back to Jagannath Puri, and now he was explaining that to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Ebe ami hani karilam bidaya, yaha ichha yaha ma sane nahi ardaya.
Now that I have brought him here, I am asking him to leave. Now he can go wherever he likes, for I am no longer responsible for him. So now this is the verdict, or this is the destination of a person who leaves Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has been so merciful. All along we have been reading how he has been merciful to one and all, whoever he is meeting, right from Prakashananda Saraswati to the Buddhist monks whom he met, and so many others. But here, because this person, Kala Krishna Das, was accompanying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? Because he was expected to take care of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the sense that his carrying his personal things or arranging for prasadam and all. And he left Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he went away, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in turn had to take care of him and bring him back. So Mahaprabhu was very angry and upset with him, and he's saying, I am no longer taking his responsibility.
Eta shuni Krishna dasa kagite lagila, madhyahana karite Mahaprabhu chali gela. Hearing the Lord reject him, Kala Krishna Das began to cry. However, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not caring for him, immediately left to take his noon lunch. So, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had shown him great grace by accepting him in his service, and for so many months he was actually traveling and serving him. But then somehow he was attracted to the sinful ways of Bhattatharis, and he left the Lord. So here Lord rejected him. He began to cry.
Actually, that time also Lord protected him first.
Yeah, so Lord protected him there. Yeah, rescue is, otherwise he would have been just totally lost. So Lord protected him, and now he brought him to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He said, now I don't have any more compassion for him. He can do whatever he wants to do. And Kala Krishna began to cry, but Lord had already decided what to do. So similarly, Lord is there, he gives us instructions, he comes personally, he gives, and it is up to us that we follow those instructions or not. If we do not follow his instructions, Lord relieves us, and then we continue in the cycle of samsara, or continue to float in this ocean of birth and death. Nityananda Jagannātha Mukunda Mudara Chari Jane Yukti Tabe Karila Antara. Just one second. So similarly, sometimes people say that God is there. Why is he not showing compassion? Why is he not doing something for poverty? Is there, disease is there? Well, we must understand this similar situation is similar. Lord is very, very compassionate. He is doing everything from his end, but we do not want to.
We leave him and walk away.
We leave him, and then we blame God.
Yeah.
On the top.
After this, the other devotees, headed by Nityananda Prabhu, Jagannātha, Mukunda, and Damodar, began to consider a certain plan. So now we see here that the person is rejected, this devotee is rejected by the Supreme Lord. And here 4 devotees are sitting and making some plan for him. Let's see what that plan is.
Gaura deshe pathaite chahi ek jana, ai ke kahibe ai Prabhu Ragmana. The Lord's 4 devotees considered, we want a person to go to Bengal just to inform Sachi Mata about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arrival at Jagannath Puri. So these 4 devotees, they saw that Kala Krishna Das has been rejected and Lord does not want any service from him. But these 4 devotees are thinking, we need one news carrier. Somebody has to go as a messenger to Bengal and inform Sachi Mata that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come back to Jagannath Puri from the Tirth Yatra. Advaita Shrivāsadiyata Bhaktagana Sabe Asibe Shuni Prabhu Ragmana.
After hearing news of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arrival, devotees like Advaita and Shrivas will certainly come to see him. So now they needed a messenger to go, and they wanted to engage Kala Krishna Das in the service of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had rejected him. So devotees of the Lord are more compassionate than the Lord himself. This is what the pastime is teaching us and telling us, that this person, though Lord has rejected, but these devotees are sitting together and thinking that how can he still be engaged? Because if we let him go, then he'll be completely, his life will be doomed. He'll be completely lost. So how can we still engage him, though not directly with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but still in the service of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and other devotees?
Hey Krishna Dase Diva Gaure Patana Eta Kahi Tare Rakhi Lena Ashwasiya. Let us therefore send Krishnadas to Bengal. Saying this, they kept Krishnadas engaged in the service of Lord and gave him assurance. So Krishnadas was completely heartbroken. We saw that earlier on, being rejected by Lord, he was crying, but he was rescued by these devotees the second time. And he could be still be engaged in the service of the Lord due to the compassion of these devotees. Aradine Prabhu Sthane Kaila Nivadana Agya Deha Gauda Deshe Pathaik Jana.
The next day, all the devotees asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please give permission for a person to go to Bengal.
So devotees are also very smart. Tomar Dakshina Gama Shuni Shachi Ai Advaitadi Bhakta Sabha Ache Dukha Pai.
Mother Shachi and all the devotees headed by Advait Prabhu are all very unhappy due to not receiving news about your return from your South Indian tour. So they are still very unhappy. They are not aware that you have come back. So let us send a person there.
Ek jana yai kaho shubha samachara Prabhu kahe dei kara ye ichha tumhara. One person should go to Bengal and inform them about the auspicious news of your return to Jagannath Puri.
Okay, I think that one line is missing here. Prabhu kahe sei kara ye ichha tumhara. So the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave instruction that you do whatever you want to do.
So you say yes. Now we'll send.
Ye ichha tumhara. Execute your desire.
So we'll send Kala Krishna Das. Nave Sri Krishna Das Gaure Pathaila Vaishnava Sabha ke Dite Mahaprasadila. In this way, Kala Krishna Das was sent to Bengal and he was given sufficient quantities of Lord Jagannath's food remnant to distribute there. So anybody coming from Jagannath Puri, they would carry Lord Jagannath's Mahaprasad and they would, wherever they go, they'll distribute. So this practice is being followed even till now. When devotees come back, they'll come with those woven bamboo baskets and it'll have khaja and it'll have some laddus and it will have other sweets and they will bring it and they will even bring dried rice with which to fast break on Dwadashi day and they will come and devotees also be honest. This devotee has come from Jagannath Puri, where is Prasad?
So getting into the next section, Shloka 75 to 90, Kala Krishna Das visits Bengal.
Tabe Gauda Deshe Aila Kala Krishna Dasa Navadvipe Gela Teha Shachi Ai Pasha. Thus Kala Krishna Das went to Bengal and he first went to Navadvip to see Mother Shachi. Mahaprasadiya Tanre Kaila Namaskara Dakshina Haite Aila Prabhu Kahe Samachara.
Upon reaching Mother Shachi, Kala Krishna Das first offered his obeisances and delivered the food remnants, the Mahaprasadam. He then informed her of the good news that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had returned from his South Indian tour.
Shuniyanandita Aila Shachi Matar Mana Shivasadi Arayata Yata Bhakta Gana. This good news gave much pleasure to Mother Sachi as well as to all the devotees in Navadvip headed by Shivas Thakur. So all these devotees, they were feeling such separation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they finally heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has reached back to Jagannath Puri, which means we can again have his darshan. Shuniya Sabara Haila Parama Ullasa Advaita Acharya Gahe Gela Krishna Dasa.
Hearing of Lord Chaitanya's return to Puri, everyone became very glad. Krishnadas next went to the house of Advaitacharya. So first Sachi Mata and then Advaitacharya.
Acharyera prasadiya kari namaskara Samyakahila Mahaprabhu Ramachara. After paying him respectful obeisances, Krishnadas offered Mahaprasad to Advaitacharya. He then informed him of the news of Lord Chaitanya in complete detail. Shuni Acharya Gosaira Ananda Haila Prema Veshe Hukar Bahu Nitya Gita Kaila.
When Advaita Acharya Goswami heard of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's return, he became very pleased. In his great ecstasy of love, he made a rumbling sound and danced and chanted for a long time. So imagine this Kala Krishnadas. Now, who can be a better messenger carrier than Kala Krishnadas? Not only he was bringing the news that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come back to Jagannath Puri, he was the one who could actually give them all the details of where all places he visited and what all happened and whom all he met and where he stayed and all those details, because he was the one who was along with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Haridasa Thagorera Haila Paramananda Vasudeva Datta Gupta Murari Sen Shivananda. Also hearing this auspicious news, Haridas Thakur became very pleased. So also did Vasudev Datta, Murari Gupta and Shivananda Sen. So all the prominent devotees had now heard of Lord's arrival back in Jagannath Puri.
And here is a list of devotees from verse number 82 to 85. Acharya Ratna, Vakreshwar Pandit, Acharya Nidhi and Gadadhar Pandit were all very pleased to hear this news. Shri Ram Pandit, Damodar Pandit, Shri Man Pandit, Vijay and Sridhar were also very pleased to hear it. Raghav Pandit, Nandan Acharya and all the devotees became very satisfied. How many can I describe? Everyone was very pleased and they all gathered together at the house of Advait Acharya. So the news spread and everybody became aware that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come back to Jagannath Puri, and then they all gathered for their meeting. As in, what next? Mahaprabhu has come.
Acharya Sabe Kaila Acharana Vandana Acharya Gosai Savare Kaila Alingana. All the devotees offered respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of Advaita Acharya, and in turn Advaita Acharya embraced them all. Dina Dui Tina Acharya Mahotsava Kaila Nila Chala Yaite Achar Yukti Dreda Kaila.
Advaita Acharya then held a festival that lasted 2 or 3 days. Thereafter, they all made a firm decision to go to Jagannath Puri. So first, they were so happy, they were so thrilled that they celebrated themselves for 2-3 days. There was a huge mahotsav.
Just by the news.
Just by the news that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming, they were all so happy. And then they started making firm decision as in when to go Jagannath Puri.
Sabe meli Navadvipe Katrahana Niladri Chalila Shachi Mataragyalana. All the devotees met together at Navdeep and with Mother Shachi's permission departed for Niladri, Jagannath Puri. So then all devotees, they had a celebration and then decided to leave. So before they did that, they took Mother Shachi's permission and then went on their way to Jagannath Puri. Prabhura Samachar Shuni Kulin Gramavasi Satya Raja Ramananda Milila Savyasi.
The inhabitants of Kulinagram, Satyaraj, Ramananda and all the other devotees there came and joined Advaita Acharya. So not only Navadvip but from Kulinagram also devotees came and joined.
Mukunda Narahari Raghunandan Khanda Aite Acharya Rathani Aila Nila Chala Yaite. Mukunda, Narahari, Raghunandan and all the others came from Khanda to Advaita Acharya's home to accompany him to Jagannath Puri. So the news had not just reached here, but it reached to all the nearby towns and villages, and devotees from all of those places were reaching to Advaita Acharya's place to prepare and go along with him to Jagannath Puri.
And this is the next section, 91 to 101, Paramanand Puri's arrival at Jagannath Puri.
Hey Kale Dakshin Haite Paramananda Puri Ganga Tire Tire Aila Nadia Nagari. At that time, Paramananda Puri came from South India, traveling along the banks of Ganga. He ultimately reached the noun of Nadia.
So if we remember, Paramananda Puri was the god brother of Mahaprabhu's spiritual master, and Mahaprabhu gave him all the respects as the spiritual master himself, and he had requested Paramananda Puri that why don't you come and stay with me in Jagannath Puri. So now we read that same Paramananda Puri, now he is traveling and he is coming towards, he reached the town of Nadia.
Aire mandir sukhe karila vishrama Ai tanre bhiksha dila kariya sammana. At Navadvip, Paramananda Puri took his board and lodging at the house of Shachimata. So he came and he stayed at the house of Shachimata. She provided him with everything very respectfully. So we saw earlier the attitude of Shachimata, that she would treat all the sannyasis as her children and she would feed them very, very nicely. So here Paramananda Puri took shelter at the house of Shachimata and she provided him with everything. Prabhura agmana teha taha nisha nila shigra nila chala yaite tanra ichha haila.
While residing at the house of Shachimata, Paramananda Puri heard the news of Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu's return to Jagannath Puri. He therefore decided to go there as soon as possible. So he heard the news and now others were preparing, the whole group, the whole village was preparing to go, and Paramananda Puri thought that I must immediately go there.
Prabhura ek bhakta duja kama kanta nama Tanre lana nila chale karila prayana. There was a devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu named Duja Kamalakant, whom Paramananda Puri took with him to Jagannath Puri. Satvare asiya teha mirila prabhu re Prabhura ananda haila panata hare.
Paramananda Puri very soon arrived at Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's place. The Lord was happy to see him.
Very happy.
The Lord was very happy to see him.
Prema veshe kaila tanra charana vandana Teha prema veshe kaila prabhura lingana. In the great ecstasy of love, the Lord worshipped the lotus feet of Paramananda Puri, and in turn, Paramananda Puri embraced the Lord in great ecstasy. So, because Paramananda Puri was at the same level as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master, so he considered Paramananda Puri also as his spiritual master, and therefore he worshipped his lotus feet, and Paramananda Puri embraced the Lord in great ecstasy. Prabhu kahe toma sange rahit vanchahaya More kripa kari kara niladri ashraya.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, please stay with me and thus show me favor, accepting the shelter of Jagannath Puri. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to spend time in the company under the shelter of Paramananda Puri, and he respectfully requests him for the same.
Prabhu kahe toma sange rahit vanchakari Gauda haite chali alina nila chala puri. Paramananda Puri replied, I also wish to stay with you. Therefore, I have come from Bengal, Gauda, to Jagannath Puri. So Paramananda Puri also heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has reached back to Puri, and he was also very eager to stay along with him in Jagannath Puri. So this is what he is saying here, that I also wish the same, and I'll stay with you here in Jagannath Puri. And that's why he had traveled all the way from Bengal. Dakshina haite suni tomara agmana Shachi anandite arayata bhakta gana.
At Navadvip, Mother Shachi and all the other devotees were very glad to hear about your return from South India. They are all coming here to see you, but seeing that they were delayed, I came alone very quickly.
काशी मिश्रेरावासे निवृते कघरा प्रभु तांड्रे दिलार सेवार किंकरा. There was a solitary room at Kashi Mishra's house, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave it to Parmananda Puri. He also gave him a servant. So, because others were taking more time, Parmananda Puri rushed to Jagannath Puri to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arranged for a solitary room at same place, same house of Kashi Mishra, and also gave him a servant.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we have completed this section, and hence we will stop here, and we will continue and see further that how is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's stay back in Jagannath Puri. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrta ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Krishnadas Kaviraj ki jai. Jai Gaur Premanande.
Hare